What's going on, gamers? So we keep on getting more news about RAM, right? And just the hell that it's making everybody go through. We don't really have some positive news coming in from Sony, how they're going to deal with it. And the reason why I say that is because I think Nintendo's probably going to do something different too. Though their online has been $20 for 9 years. It's been absolutely cheap. So, they're in a lesser position to worry about offsetting people. Now, when it comes to Sony, they have different plans here, how they're going to tackle this RAM problem. They did say they're still securing stuff, but there's some interesting stuff here. We got an article over here on Push Square to read to see what the CFO had said. So get ready for this because we're going to have to dive into this and really talk about what's going to happen if stuff does go down because this is the concern. So Nick Tech says, I've seen quite a number of people saying this is a huge win that Sony didn't increase console prices due to RAM shortages. So they said they're not going to increase the price. And that's what I thought at first too, what you're saying. And we're going to read where this comes from. But who would have guessed that this was Sony's master plan all along? Lose a few dollars on a console, I don't know about that, and then increase the price of games. PlayStation Plus and more microtransactions. I'm not going to lie. Gaming is in a very rough spot right now. Prices of RAM will someday return to normal. But once prices of games and subscriptions increase, there's no going back. This is the problem. And he's 100% correct by that. So Pirate Nation comes and posts what was said earlier, and we're going to get back to what he said because it makes sense. He says Sony plans to offset rising RAM and component costs for the PS5 by increasing revenue from its existing player base. Now, revenue means that potentially $80 games probably now, or something like $80 games, or games that are going to be 60 may go to 70. Maybe lesser discounts on games, and possibly Plus going up more. That's a possibility. And this likely means higher game prices. Sony may try $80 games now, fewer deeper discounts, possible PlayStation Plus tier adjustments, and greater emphasis on microtransactions and DLC to maintain profitability without raising console prices. So we're like, oh man. They didn't specifically say what they're going to do, but what we can bundle in is specifically this right here. And this is the concern in the video. So it's like what's his face said. What if Sony did increase plus more, right? In $80 games. And let's say they do that, right? Which obviously this is never good. It does suck that the RAM market is causing all this to happen. But what would be bad is if the RAM market crashes and Sony keeps games at $80. If they do $80, we don't know that yet. If they increase the price of Plus and it doesn't go down, because Sony's like, oh, okay, well, the components of the RAM is a lot better now. Everybody knows this. The whole market will start being aware of it. And then they're like, okay, so since that happened, we have to put down the price of Plus to where it was before. Then that would make Sony look a lot better and more pro-consumer, right? But have we ever seen that before? I don't think so. This is a generation where everything goes up so much and it doesn't go back down. But eventually it has to when you move on to the next console. You can have the Pro at the same price with the PS6 being next to it. It's like, that's not going to work. You know what I mean? So from a hardware standpoint, no. But yeah, I mean, obviously microtransactions will be more. DLC will probably cost more money. If they decide not to give as much discounts, I think that would make sense because eventually you can still give discounts. That's something that can change and that's not locked for anything to worry about. What's to worry about is $80 games, which they can go down because Microsoft did that and reversed the price. You see what I mean? Sony will do that. But I think the subscription stuff is probably making people wonder the most. Like, what if you did jack the price up of Plus by $5 each on all tiers? Which that's not a lot more, but already went up. Game Pass is went up the most. Or what if you do it by 10 and you don't put it back down? And how long is that going to stay up there? That's the problem here. And you won't be given much discounts on sales because you're trying to make up for that RAM component cost so the hardware does not go up. Here's the thing. It's like you'll be making more money on that than you would on hardware. You always do. Everybody knows that when you buy a hardware and you get into the industry, you're going to make way more money off of microtransactions. This was already seen with Fortnite and all those other games. That's why people are trying to chase that. You can make way more money off of people buying video games, DLCs, and subscribing 24/7. Because if somebody's doing that for 7 years, that ain't nothing compared to buying a hardware in one time. You know what I mean? You could buy 3 games for $70 and you already spent $210, right? You got PlayStation Plus for the whole year. What if you spend 135? You see what I mean? You're already at like almost $400. And what if you buy microtransactions? You already closing in just even that year. If you're doing that year on year along with other people who spend more, yeah, they can make way more money off of that. This is where Microsoft was being dumb because it's like, why were you pricing out the hardware? You should have made the hardware as affordable as possible because you would get more people into your ecosystem to buy more games, to subscribe to Game Pass, to be able to move to other hardware and to be more happy with you. Sony is doing the right thing here. Even though like I wouldn't agree with things going up and not coming back down because you say because of the RAM. But everybody knows that um, that's something that happens a lot in this industry. But you can put the game back down from 80 to 70. You can give deeper discounts eventually. You know what I mean? You could do permanent price drops on games. Subscriptions is probably the worst to go up. But guess what? If you play nothing but single player games, you can avoid that. But if you want to use the cloud to save your games, well, then yeah. Every once in a while, you're going to have to get that up there and make sure it doesn't stay up, I think, longer than 6 months unless they extended it to a year or something. So that's what he was talking about here, Nick Tech. We're going to get to some comments here in a second, but let's go over to the page and see what it says. Sony will offset soaring RAM prices by further monetizing PS5 players. Ramping it up. Here's what it is. As we all know by now, I'll zoom in for you guys. The tech industry is in a real bind. Demand from AI companies has disrupted the global supply chain of RAM, pushing prices sky high. It's affecting everyone, exactly. From hobbyist shopping for PC components to giant consumer electronic companies like Sony. Yeah, PC components are getting it the worst. And since consoles use stuff like that, or APU, it still gets affected, definitely when it comes to RAM. Last year, we reported that the Japanese giant had attained enough RAM to shield it from price increases in the short term. And speaking during its earnings call early this month, CFO Lin Tao pointed out it has enough memory to see it through 2026 as well. Going forward, we intend to further negotiate with various suppliers to secure enough supply to meet the demand of our customers, she promised. If you got 2026, then that should be happening this year. But even though it's okay for now, rising prices are going to put a strain on its business. Okay, so things going up even more. I can kind of get that to get future components. So how does Sony intend to deal with that? Well, according to Tao, the company plans to offset surging costs by focusing on monetizing the install base. Well, monetizing, we know what monetization is, so that's definitely MTX. This means it wants to extract more dollars from wallets of existing PS5 customers and also just charging you more for a price of something. She specifically mentioned growing software and network revenue. So like PlayStation Plus and stuff. And, you know, online revenue, whatever you make is on whatever's online that you spend money for. Growing software. So we could be looking at anything from price increase to PlayStation Plus to more aggressive efforts to get people spending more money. It's going to be interesting to see how it balances consumer satisfaction with aggressive sales targets. If the RAM price increases do eventually attack Sony's bottom line, then it is going to have to make it back somehow. Obviously, more money. We've already beginning to hear rumors that the PS6 may be delayed internally, which is going to dramatically upset the platform's holders' plans for the next few years. We'll give the company some credit, though. It's already nimbly navigated semiconductor shortages and crippling tariffs so far this generation. So let's see what kind of plan it has in store for the latest round of global economic issues. And that's where this stuff comes in right here. So here's the thing, like, they didn't specifically say we're going to be giving you $80 games, but they said something involving networking. So, I mean, I could include, oh yeah, I mean, that's definitely subscription-based, has to be included in that potentially. Maybe more microtransactions and stuff we'd probably get for free, like Ghost of Yote Legends, we're going to be charging for future games. And yeah, maybe less discounts, you never know. Possibly some games, maybe $80, we'll see. That's not guaranteed, so we can't guarantee that. But that depends on how much Sony is affected, because they said they're good to 2026, but if something else is going on, where their partners have to probably charge some more money. I don't know. It just depends. We're going to find out. I want you guys to let me know what you think. Let's get to some comments. Ashton says, just get off PlayStation Plus subscriptions for now. Buy used disc for single players. And when PC prices become normal again, get some PC for multiplayer. That's funny. In both the scenarios, it's the gamers who are going to lose money. Yeah. Listen, man, I know PC has it rough right now with parts being sky high and Microsoft being crap with the Windows updates, but at least we're not trapped in some BS ecosystem that they try to squeeze all the money out of you. I mean, dude, it doesn't matter if you're being charged that much for component prices to where you're spending $1,500 more than a console player, and they can still get a plus for 5-6 years of a whole generation, and you're still, I mean, you're going to have to keep upgrading. It's like, that doesn't work anymore. We've already talked about that. The difference now in cost prices with RAM, SSD, GPU, everything you have to customize is up a lot. And it could get worse until it goes back down. So it's like, you could talk about that, but if somebody has nothing but single player games on PlayStation, which most people play, and the free to play games do not need an online subscription service, they can avoid that. So that's where it comes down to, like, what are you talking about? Because the Pro was $650 in the holidays. What are you going to do to get something equivalent to that right now? You want 32 gigabytes of RAM because you use background resources and other things. It's just the way things work. So whether you want to think about that or not, you're spending double the money. You see what I mean? So it's like, no, the PC market is the worst by a mile. That's why it's affecting everything else. Nvidia is the most anti-consumer. You know what I mean? So it's like, there's no really talking about any of that anymore when that's an option. And you say consoles are, what do you mean? Nintendo Switch Online is $20 a year if you want to use it. That's nothing. Compared to how much more you're going to be paying compared to before, it's astronomically higher. It's a stupid mentality. It doesn't work anymore. That's why nobody paid attention to you in the next comment half 59, because nobody takes that stuff serious anymore. It doesn't work. Wake up. You can't squeeze blood out of a turnip. If they reduce the discounts, I'll buy less. If they increase prices on new releases, I'll buy less. If they want my money, they'll have to meet me where I am. I'm not budging. There's something wrong with that mentality. That's okay. That's why Sony's going to have to find a balance. They did increase console prices, though. They have before, yeah, but they're not going to do it again. Microsoft is the one that did other things that then increased their Game Pass before all of this happened, where it's like, why did you do that? You should have waited. And you have the most money. Like, you should have done that. Here's my advice. Cut back on getting new games down to a handful. Save for big sales for bulk purchases. Start collecting on other media like movies and TV shows to cut back on streaming services. Hell, buy old games when you see ones that pique your interest. I mean, this type of stuff is just going to happen. This has always been the case with consoles, so what is the shock? So you see people down here pretty much saying what they want to say. And going over to Pirate Nation's comment section, he says, what do you mean fewer discounts? Games like Last of Us Part 1 Remake and Demon's Souls have been sitting on the shelves for 70 to 80 pounds for years already. They see minimum discounts maybe twice a year, but never actually drop. And then people wonder why sales tanked. What the F, like $70 wasn't enough. They're going to charge more. Well, we don't know if they're going to do $80 games. It's a possibility for maybe a one huge title that may happen. So basically, current user base will be milked even more with nothing much in return. Here's the thing, guys. The only way to catch them to see if they're getting more greedy, because Sony didn't take those opportunities to get more greedy. They've been more pro-consumer, which is actually good, is if this stuff crashes down and they keep that, whatever they're going to do like that. Then it's like, well, you're going to pull a Microsoft in, because remember when the tariffs went up to 150, they jacked the price up, but then the tariffs went down to 30% and they kept it there. That's what's like, oh, see, you went around with the scheme. Now, if Sony jacks the price of a PlayStation Plus and the RAM component stuff goes down and the market is good again and they keep it there, then yeah, that's not cool. This is the type of stuff we're talking about. $80 games, you can eventually put that on sale. It's not going to stay 80 forever. Games have to go down on sale. So that's why I feel like that can kind of be better than the subscription service going up if you need that, unless you wait for the subscription service to go on sale and use it for what you need it for. We'll see, though. I think it's between those two. Obviously, more microtransactions and lesser discounts. So, yeah, let me know what you guys think about this. I mean, all of this sucks. So, I mean, yeah, this is where we're at now. So I wonder what Microsoft's going to do, what Nintendo's going to do. I think Nintendo's going to jack the price up of their online service. It's been $20 for 8 or 9 years instead of increasing the hardware. And that would be the more intelligent thing to do, because they still need to move hardware. And I mean, $20 a year is mega cheap compared to what these other ones offer. And you get the cloud and all that. It's really nothing. You can go out and get some food and a drink or something and maybe a snack, and you're pretty much there just one time out of the day of the year. It's nothing. And they're giving you a whole year for that. I mean, come on, man. So Sony, though, is in a position to where they've already done that before along with Microsoft, so it's more taxing for them. And that's what I pretty much think about this. It sucks either way. Let me know what you guys think. We may see $80 games coming from Sony for the first time, though. It's possible. Later, y'all.